Hi, welcome to the Krag Volunteer channel. Today I'm going to talk about why IGCSE is too focused on exams. Now, if you don't know what IGCSE is, it's an international version of the British curriculum GCSE. It's a 2-year course usually taken by students in year 10 to year 11, which is roughly from the age of 14 to 16. Now, this video is only my opinion, so please don't base your major life decisions off this video. So why is it too focused on exams? There are many ways it can be too focused on exams. And the first one I'm going to talk about is that the grades of the students almost entirely comes from exams. The problem with this is that exams aren't always accurate in measuring the students' knowledge and skills of the subject. There's a limited amount of time to do the exam, and the questions require a lot of explaining. The people who are affected by time pressure or are not good at explaining things in the way that the examiner wants might simply just get lower grades, not because they have lower abilities. And the people who do get good grades might just be the people who do tons of practice exam papers in exam conditions. This very clearly shows that the exams are good at measuring how well the students can answer exam questions, but are not good at actually measuring the students' knowledge and skills of the subject. Let's say, for example, the subject of chemistry. If the students were given a task to design or conduct an experiment, they might not do them well. Why? Because all they were told to do is practice exam questions. Therefore, the exam in this case would give the students higher grades than their actual scientific abilities. Another subject where the exams would be very inaccurate in measuring the students' ability is business studies. I've not studied the subject myself, but from what I've read on the syllabus, the grades entirely comes from 2 exams, which is a horrible idea. The A-star student might fail to set up a business, while the failing student could have become a successful businessman. How about letting the students set up and run their own businesses, instead of letting them explaining some theories to satisfy the examiner? Now, despite all this, there are some subjects where the grades are not mainly based on exams, like global perspectives, where there's an individual report and a group project. This is great, because it allows the student to apply the skills learned to some real work, and is not limited by time or exam formats. I wish that many more subjects would follow the way of giving grades based on projects rather than giving grades based on exams. The other way that IGCSE is too focused on exams is that the teachers teach the students with the main goal of doing IGCSE exam well, instead of to make students have and be able to apply more skills and knowledge. So one of the most common things teachers do is to teach right and then solve a bunch of questions from exam past papers. This is fine for a math class, but it's a waste of time in most subjects. Students come to school to learn something useful that they might be able to use in the future. They are not going to answer exam questions when they leave school, unless they become an examiner. This also relates to what I said earlier, which is that exams are going to be even more inaccurate than it already is at measuring the students' abilities. Students might be so familiar with exam questions that they can just answer them perfectly well, without needing a strong understanding of the subject matter. There are also some teachers who spend an entire class explaining exam formats and how to answer them properly. Luckily, this doesn't really happen much with many of my teachers. But now, you as a viewer might think that this is my teacher's problem, not the curriculum's fault. But the problem is that the mark schemes of the exams are being too specific about how the students get a point for a question. The mark schemes have their own way of giving points, which is specific to IGCSE. This might worry some teachers who want to maximize the student's mark, so they waste time explaining every single little part of the exam format to their students. There are also some teachers telling students not to write a lot, or sometimes not even in full sentences, because they say it wastes time in exams. This is bad, Because what the teachers are doing is telling the students to do the bare minimum to get high marks, instead of making sure that the student understands everything. Not writing in full sentences is also a bad technique, because when they grow up, they need to write properly. This is basically making students stick to bad habits of not writing in full sentences because the teachers think this will maximize their marks. Overall, the time wasted by focusing too much on exams could have been spent on things such as experiments and practicals for the sciences, field work for geography, class discussion and debate for the humanities, practicing using languages in real-world contexts for the languages subjects. These things are much more productive than doing past papers and talking about exams. So, what are the solutions to the problems I've talked about in this video? Firstly, reduce the weighting of exams on the final grade and take more grades from projects. Secondly, simplify the mark schemes so that anyone who knows the subject well can do it without needing to know the exam format. Thirdly, checking whether all the teachers are letting the students do more productive activities that I just said previously and not talking about exams all day long. And lastly, make people in the education system careless about having the highest grade and more on actual learning. That's it for this video. If you want to express your opinions, please say it in the comments. If you like this channel, please subscribe. And bye.